This is a radical spiritual teaching, and it's simply based on the concept that whatever sequence you start has a consequence, and that is a universal law. So if you don't want a specific consequence, then you just reverse engineer and look at, well, what is the sequence you've started or will start? And so the sequence to create the consequence you want is just the simplest flow chart, which is why I created this, because this is how my science brain works. So let's first understand one really important thing. When you make a mistake or you take a misstep, our tendency is to go into a field day of shame and guilt and self-doubt. And energetically, those experiences, those sensations, those emotions drain the body, deplete the body of energy. That's why it feels very depressing, right? And then it becomes depression. So we've depressed the system with a cascade of hormones that create this experience. So we make a mistake and it's immediately, oh my God, it's my fault. I should have done it. You get heartburn. And you literally feel tired. So how can we set in motion a different consequence? You don't want to feel tired. You don't, we're all basically as humans trying to create a bigger experience of some sense of growth, right? And however you define that is completely your free will. But we're all seeking to experience that, whether it be, infinite love or creative expression or, just a bigger experience of vitality, of being human, of joy, of pleasure, but it's in this growth, right? Because the opposite of growth is decay, which we're biologically wired to not have a predisposition for an affinity for decay. So every mistake is a mistake, a misstep. And it's simply, it's a signal into the body saying, I need to realign, I need to readjust. What can I learn here so that I could shift the pattern? So the instance of the mistake, you get that, that hit, you feel it in the body. And at that moment, if you want to create the consequence of feeling better, then you're going to start this chain and practice this chain. At the instance of the mistake, you start by simply breathing. Say to yourself, thank God there's nothing wrong with me. Now that statement in and of itself is one of the most powerful things that I've personally learned from my spiritual teacher. And this isn't about glossing over the mistake or creating some sort of narcissistic pattern. This is simply just recognizing there's nothing wrong with me, puts you in a higher vibratory frequency. It shifts your glandular secretions so that you're not going into a depleted state. And then you just simply want to hold that biochemistry as long as possible. Breathe again. You hold that. You get into that space. You feel that feeling of, oh, thank God there's nothing wrong with me. Whew, maybe it's a little sensation of relief, but whatever it is, that sensation is pleasant and it's calm, and you hold it and you listen, because in that pause, you have the opportunity to just simply take the next right action, right? Just do the next righteous thing for you. And then whatever that action is, in that moment, you're like, okay, and I'm going to do it better today than I did yesterday, because that's all you've got. It's you, and it's a you and you game. So can you just make a commitment to say, hey, I'm going to do better today than I did yesterday. This next right thing I'm going to do it better than I did yesterday. And what this does, it starts to build momentum. So you just wash, rinse, and repeat. You build that momentum by repeating this. You have an experience of actually doing the next right thing. And then holding in that pattern. And then chronically, these, little next right action, next right action, next right action moves you in a positive direction. Doesn't mean you won't make a misstep, but when you misstep, you're like, thank God there's nothing wrong with me. And you get right back into the cycle and you go through and you have the experience, and then it accelerates on itself. So you build this momentum in this positive direction toward the consequence you want, and it accelerates because you're reinforcing that habit, that pattern, that neuroglandular cascade, right? The neuroendocrine system is firing in a direction that is actually feeling good. And what it does, it builds self-trust, right? That momentum moves you into this positive place of, I trust myself. That's where the growth happens, because that self-trust becomes self-confidence. And what is self-confidence in the body? There's cellular shifting, there's strengthening, right? There's growth happening. And that becomes victory. Victory is what we're after, right? This victorious experience. So that's basically the consequence you want from any misstep. And quick analogy in this, post-run wrap is this. You take it onto the playing field or onto the track. I'm a track athlete and I'm in this post-run wrap and I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, you're running. You know that you want to cross the finish line. What happens along the race trail, you could stumble a little bit and immediately your body's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And you just, okay, well, I tripped and I'm going to pull myself back on track. You're not going to blow out in self-doubt. You're not going to blow out in guilt. You're not going to have these, just like, oh, misstep, boom, back on track. And you just recalibrate. And then your body actually compensates for that by kind of getting a little bit more of a heightened awareness and a little bit of a jolt. There's a little bit of adrenaline there, and the body uses that to help fuel you. So why don't we treat just any old mistake like that? Just, boop, I took a misstep, bring it back. And it can really be that simple. So, simple sequence to create the consequence of victory. It's all yours.